it was back in 99, 2000, I think. And I used to be a teetotaler, by the way. I didn't drink alcohol at all until the age of 26. And I never thought I would be in the whiskey business. So, going back to 99, 2000, I was traveling to Japan. And it so happened that I was visiting a friend, and we finished dinner, and we had some wine, of course. And then after the dinner, my friend says, "Oh, you really got to try something that I have left for you." I said, "What is it?" He said, "Oh, it's a whiskey." I said, "Oh, I don't drink whiskey." He said, "No, I know you don't drink whiskey, but try it." And he pulled out a bottle of a Yamazaki 12, actually. Right? This was in Tokyo, but there was very little left in the bottle. So he said, "Just try it, and see what you think." So he poured me a glass, and I think the first sip that I took after, because just like wine, you kind of try to nose it a little bit. I think it just struck me as to how complex it was. And the next thing we knew, because he didn't have any more whiskey at home, he and his wife and myself, and we went to a bunch of bars trying different whiskeys. So that was my first whiskey, and then we had lots of whiskey that day. So I think it was a great experience, right? But I think what struck me most was, or what hooked me on into whiskey, was the complexity of the product. So that's a very difficult question, because when you say one favorite whiskey, when you've tasted such a wide variety, since 99, 2000, now it's 2019, it's difficult to pick one particular sort of favorite whiskey. I think I've tried a lot of whiskeys and have a lot of different whiskeys which I like, but it's not about a favorite distillery. It's more about the style, perhaps, or the cask kind of sort of preferences that I might have. So I would say in general I prefer younger whiskeys. In general I prefer bourbon cask, even though I would say that a lot of times when I've found excellent sherry whiskeys, what I don't like, I know, is overtly sweet whiskeys. Okay, so I prefer something which surprises me. You nose the whiskey, it tells you something. You take first sip, and your mind starts getting sort of a little bit confused as to what's going on. The complexity is what basically excites me about a particular whiskey. Right? If you ask me about distilleries, there are a lot of distilleries that I like. Right? I mean, Lafroy 10 is one of my go-to whiskeys. Okay, and it's something that you can easily have at any point in time, but that's a strong whiskey. At the same time, Kilhoman is one of my favorites as well, right? So at the same time, I love Springbank. The Japanese whiskeys, Ichiro's Malt is one of my favorites as well. So it's very difficult to pick one whiskey. I think it's a question of what style, what mood you're in. It also depends on who you are with. And I think a lot of people talk about pairing of whiskeys. I think the best pairing of whiskeys is with friends. Depends on what kind of friends you are with, and of course, if you are with friends, the mood changes. So I think it really depends on the time and the day, and where you are at that point in time. But in general, I prefer younger ones because they tend to reflect the character of the distillery. They tend to showcase what the new make is trying to tell us, right? Well, I guess that's going back to 2007, 2008. Yes, I was in the finance industry. At some point, I decided to leave the finance industry and start my own business. And the business that we were engaged in was focused on investments, right? And we were investing in small businesses across Asia. One of the investments that we made in the early stages was in the food business. And this was again driven by something that I really liked. And this was out of my experiences in Japan, where I got introduced to ramen. So we started, with a ramen investment in Hong Kong, a Japanese ramen sort of chain. And then we were looking at things beyond ramen. And then we were thinking about what's the sort of next thing that we should be doing to expand the business. And, whiskey sort of came out of nowhere. So we said, well, why not look at whiskey? So actually the early interest started off by looking at a potential investment in distillery, in a small distillery and possibly in Japan. This was way back in 2011, 2012. The unfortunate part is it never happened. We were a bit late in the game. So we said, okay, fine, can't find a distillery, so let's do something else. Let's start from the retail end. So we go downstream and we start from retail end. So we said, how about starting with a bar and a retail business? That's how sort of it came about. We spent some time, looking at what the opportunity is. We spent some time trying to figure out where to start, what to do, bring in the right people, right? So this was way back in 2012. We eventually started in 2015. So it took us like 3 years to actually get it started, right? There's a lot of planning involved. There's a lot of thinking involved. But if I look back and I say we are here today, there's always planning involved. There's always sort of thinking involved. You make business plans and so on and so forth. But eventually, it's a lot about fate. It's a lot about serendipity. It's a lot about coincidences. It's about ichigo ichie. Okay, it's about running into right people. It's about circumstances, right? So if I look back, how did we come here? A bit of planning, a bit of thinking, a bit of fate, a bit of destiny, right? So that's why we're here. First of all, I must say, I have a lot of respect for our partner, Endo-san. Okay, running a bar is, I think, a lot more difficult, okay, than running a retail shop. And I'll tell you why. In a bar, you have customers walking in every day, okay, and you have customers who want instantaneous, product, right? And Endo-san and team are always preparing cocktails. They have to keep an eye on what other customers want. It's a very sort of high level of hospitality and service that they need to sort of adhere to, right? We also have an element of service. We also have an element of hospitality in the retail shop, but I think I do recognize they're a different sort of level, right? I think we are not creating product over here on a daily basis, and I think if you go to the bar, and then someone making a cocktail, he is thinking at the instant as to how he would come up with something when the customer is asking him something about a cocktail. So it's a different sort of kind of style. There are a lot of differences. There are some similarities, right? Choices and selections that we would provide over here in the bar. There has to be a wide variety, wide choice. There is an element of hospitality, and we try to adhere. But I think Endo-san's goals and levels are very high. We have to try to meet those goals as well over here, right? But I think it's broadly sort of a customer-based business, right? So I do hope that more sort of beginners and experts come and join. How they can share perspective, but also learn from what you're doing. I think it's a great initiative. Very good luck to you. So kampai and cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers, Asia.